Dun, 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 dun. My name's Stephanie Hansen, and I'm glad you're joining us. You want to have seasoning, you want to have spice. I want to know how you thought of making lasagna into a soup. Ooh, it's so smoky! We've got the potatoes, we've got zucchini, we've got sausage, we've got onion. Yum. I just love that you brought soup into a 6-dish setting and people are going crazy for it. Ooh, there is a real buttery smell that's coming up from that. Yum. How pretty does that look? You're gonna need some napkins, folks.
Hi, everybody. You know this lady. Welcome to, as they say in the network, a special edition of Blossom. But it's really a special edition of The Jason Show with no public service announcement messages. I'm Jace. You know this lady. It's foodie queen Stephanie Hansen.
Hi, Jace.
You've been taking over my show a lot lately. Is there something I should know?
I hope. No. They need to give you some time off on occasion, so they like, hey, let's have the soup lady make some soup.
You're now known as the soup lady?
I've been the soup lady since your show like 2 years ago.
That's right, in Seattle. Yeah. I'm in a soup mood, so bing. Soups. Your first stop is with the person that we fell in love with, Chef Yia Vang.
Yeah, I just love his cooking, and he did a pop-up during the winter time called Slurp, and he had just noodles and soup dishes, so a lot of slurpability that was happening there. So we went to visit him to try his dishes. He's so great. We just had such a blast.
Well, I want to look at this. Should we look at it?
Yeah.
Take a look.
I want to make sure I have my glasses on so that I can see soups. You guys, first of all, I love soup, and every culture has soup. So I'm really excited to be here with Yia Vang today at Slurp, which is his pop-up of both soups and noodles. So he's got the brothy soups, and then he's got some saucy noodles. He is such a good chef. This is gonna be soupastic. I'm gonna like sniff your clothes because you smell like delicious food. I'm here with Chef Yia Vang, and we are at Slurp, your soup and saucy noodle mecca.
Yeah, it's been really fun.
I just love that you brought soup into a 6-dish setting and people are going crazy for it, because at the end of the day, like, haven't you been eating like your mom's soup your whole life?
Yeah, definitely. And for us, growing up in these like Hmong church communities, it's how do you feed these like 100, 150 people?
Soup is the answer. Tell us about this one, because it kind of looks a little bit like fancy spaghetti.
Yes, so this is our kopong. Kopong is a very kind of traditional Southeast Asian dish. So the base is coconut milk.
Oh, I can smell it.
It's a red curry coconut milk. We have some bamboo shoots in there, cabbage, herbs, mint, cilantro, Thai basil. Growing up, Mom would make this with the leftover bones of the rotisserie chicken.
Okay, yes, that makes sense.
And the heat on this will clear your nostrils. Because we always talk about, oh, well, how much, sorry, the heat. And I said, let's just do it the way that Mom did it.
I'm probably gonna like start coughing. Oh,
right?
You know,
it comes in the back, it lingers in that back.
Yeah, and that's the best kind of heat.
Yes. But the creaminess and the sweetness of the coconut balances it out.
It is super delicious.
Yes.
I can see why the Twin Cities is waiting in line for this. I mean, come on.
That's the pork and greens. So basically that's a very classic Hmong dish. Like if you want to talk to any Hmong kid about what did you grow up in, it was pork and greens, braised pork and greens.
So pork belly is like fattier bacon, right?
Yeah, pork belly is basically bacon. So this is braised overnight, and then we cut it and then we put that good sear on it.
So amazing. All right, moving on. This is a vegan dish. It's called the Shrew Mama. How?
Like if I told you, like there's no meat product in that.
No, I would have no idea.
Because there's a lot of mushrooms. Like you need a lot of mushrooms. You
also, it's more than mushroomy. It's a lot meatier feeling.
That broth takes about 2 days to make.
Oh boy.
So you, overnight, you let that mushroom go in, and then we actually put it in the cooler with all the mushroom in there, and then so it's like tea. You're making a savory tea, and that's how you extract all that flavor.
When you were a kid, did you eat like Campbell's soup and macaroni and cheese and all the traditional American food, or did you have Hmong feast every night?
It was both. But for me, what I never understood was the idea of a Campbell's can, like soup, right? I could never understand that. I'm like, that's like 2 spoonfuls, like, you know? And so it blew my mind that that was considered soup in that little can. And what we were doing was, this was considered soup also.
This is like a 1-person portion.
Oh, absolutely.
Of course.
You know, like the best is when you see like the Hmong grandmas and they got like the big bowls and like their elbows are out and they're 85 years old and their head is over and they're just going at it.
Slurp, slurp, slurp.
Oh, yeah.
On a personal note, you've done so much. You've done a TV show, you've done a couple of TV shows. You're now like going off into the wild and slaying alligators and making it. Are you just like having your best life right now?
Yeah, a little bit. You know, sometimes you're tired, you know, you get tired. But
I can imagine you're tired.
One of the things is like, we have an incredible team here that, you know, when I get this great opportunity to travel or to shoot these shows, they can hold everything down here. I mean, you can't do it without the chefs behind me. And then the other thing that I really love is my mom and dad. Like, they've just been the base. I always say that they're like my shoreline, they're my North Star, they're my lighthouse, you know, like when the waves, the storm of all these decisions that needs to be made, all these things, like I know that I can go to Hugo, Minnesota, go lay down on their couch, you know, and just be a kid. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm like
that's very touching to
I'm
me.
like, yeah, I'm like 8 years old. And my mom has this thing, she always says to me, she goes, doesn't matter how old you get, like you're still my boy.
Yeah.
Like you're still my boy. And I can fall asleep there and I don't have to worry about emails, I don't have to worry about anything. Having something like that, I see all these other things and I'm just like, yeah. Like
it'll all work out.
Yes.
It makes me teary because I started my food life after my mom had already died. And sometimes I sit there and I think, wow, what would she think like when I'm making her soups in my kitchen or when I'm frying up her chicken and putting the recipe in a cookbook? So I'm glad that you get to share that experience with your mom and dad.
Oh, absolutely. And they love it, you know? I think that for me, it's not about me living my best life, it's I'm making sure they're living their best life, you know?
Oh, all right. I need to like take a moment. Thanks for having us today.
Oh, no, thank you for coming.
Coming up, our soup extravaganza gets creamy and cheesy. We're making the ultimate lasagna soup with cookbook author Meredith Deeds. But first, we're baking my favorite quick and easy breads that take any soup to the next level.
Come on in.
Oh, there's Stanley. Okay. Say hi, Stanley. Hi, Stanley boy.
I'm gonna put them over here. Down. Don't bark at me. Stay. You guys, when you're making soup, Kurt, my husband, would tell you that soup is not a meal. Soup with something is a meal. So whenever we make soup, and you know I'm the soup queen and I make soup a lot, I always have to have like something with it. So I've developed a pretty good repertoire of easy breads. So we're gonna make Irish soda bread today. And this is so easy, you can do it with kids, even a kindergartner can do it because it's really not very difficult. So I've got 3.5 cups of flour in here. I've got a half a stick of butter. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna cut the butter into the flour, kind of like you would be making pastry. So here is our 3.5 cups of flour. I'm gonna sprinkle my little butter chunks over it. And it's very forgiving. It isn't as much like pie where everything needs to be ice cold. I'm also gonna put in my sugar, a 1/4 cup, a tablespoon of baking powder, and that's gonna be our leavening agent, 2 teaspoons baking soda with a little bit of salt. And then we're gonna just mix it all together and we're gonna do what's called cutting in the butter. So I go along the pan and I push the butter in so that I'm making little like pea-sized cubes that are getting incorporated into the dough. You don't have to be too fussy about it. If you miss a few chunks, that's okay too. So I've got the butter cut into the flour here. All right, we have 2 cups of buttermilk. And this is like the magic ingredient that makes this all come together. Buttermilk is so delicious. And kind of get it all mixed up. You don't want to over mix. You just want to get the ingredients wet. You can see that it's real shaggy in there, so we got to get it to come together a little bit. It's a very wet dough and it's very shaggy. So I'm gonna have to add more flour as I go. But I want to make sure that I've got all the wet parts of the dough incorporated. You just have to like spank it a little, make sure it comes together. So we're getting it into a really nice ball, kind of flouring all the sticky sides. And we're gonna go ahead and put it in our already buttered cast iron 8-inch skillet. And here's something that's different with soda bread. You need to score it so that you can let the steam escape when it bakes. I'm gonna just put a little bit of flour on here to finish it off. I'm gonna go ahead and use an X-Acto knife. I just like the control that I get. My husband likes to use a razor blade. So I'm going down about 2 inches actually, and I'm making just a giant X into the top of my bread. We're gonna put it in an oven at 375 for 30 minutes. It's going to be delicious. So while our soda bread's in the oven, I'm gonna show you a quick trick. While our soda bread's in the oven, I'm gonna show you a quick kitchen hack to clean up dough, because it's hard. So this bench scraper here that you use a lot of times when you're making pastry is amazing for cleanup, because if you just take a squeegee and you start to go through all the dough, guess what happens, you guys? It makes sticky dough. So if you use your pastry scraper and just scrape that all off before you wipe your counter, it makes cleanup a breeze. Here we go. Oh, look at that. Okay, now if you notice, there is a real buttery smell that's coming up from that. Yum. All that butter is melted and incorporated into the soda bread. Having the X allowed the bread to puff up a little bit and open up. It looks so delicious. I mean, if this isn't a meal with soup, I don't know what is. Okay, so we're continuing on with our breads, and I am making the world's best cornbread. And the way that we're gonna accomplish it is the old standby, the Jiffy cornbread mix. So we're just gonna take it and we're gonna just zhuzh it up a little bit. We're gonna start with a couple of eggs that we're just gonna whisk in our bowl. And you know what I just did? I did the thing you're not supposed to do, which is you're not supposed to crack the eggs on the side of the bowl. If you do it on a hard surface, it cracks way easier and you don't get shells inside it. I'm just gonna whisk these up. And we're also gonna add 1/3 of a cup of vegetable oil, 1/3 of a cup of milk with our honey. If you spray the vessel with Pam or with like a cooking spray first, watch how easy the honey just comes out. It is so much easier than trying to like dig it out with your spatula. We're just gonna give that a quick zhuzh. Honey can be hard to incorporate, so using a wire whisk helps. See how you kind of get that? We wanna make sure that we get that whisked in. Okay, so now we're gonna add the secret ingredient, creamed corn. And it's just a can of it. It is really gonna give us a much richer consistency. And we're also gonna add sour cream. Yum, you're gonna add about 1/3 of a cup. You're also gonna add yogurt, which I use a full-fat Greek yogurt, so it's a little bit thicker. But we're just trying to load this cornbread mix up with all these ooey gooey extra special ingredients. And I'm mixing this all together here because once I put the dry ingredients in, I don't want to overmix it. All right, so I've got all of the wet ingredients put together. So we're just literally taking 2 packages of the Jiffy cornbread mix, and we're just gonna sprinkle that right on. And it is gonna be ooey gooey and delicious. But I don't, again, want to overmix. You just want to get the flour incorporated without overmixing. Look at that. Yummy, yum, yum. I'm going to go ahead and spray my pan. So we've got our cornbread is all inside of our beautiful pan here. So we're going to put it in the oven for 40 minutes at about 400 degrees. And how delicious does that look? Oh, yum. And I can already tell it's done. And you know how I can tell? Because it's pulling away from the sides of the pan. Now, I will do the toothpick test just to show you. You just put it right in the center there, just like you would for brownies, or came out clean. It's gonna be delicious.
Coming up, creamy, dreamy sausage soups with cookbook author and Starch Tribune columnist Meredith Deeds.
Yum. Soup! Okay, I am here with my friend Meredith Deeds. She writes every week for the Starch Tribune, which is our daily newspaper. She writes a recipe column, but you also are rivaling me for Soup Queen. Are you like the designated soup queen of Minneapolis?
I don't know, because you were the soup queen first. I know. Okay, this is her cookbook, 300 Sensational Soups. It's a bit of a vintage model. It's from 2008. But
oldie but goodie.
Oh, so goodie. We're gonna do a lasagna soup, but the soup we're gonna start with first is a chickpea, sausage, and rosemary soup.
This soup just contains a lot of my very favorite ingredients and ones that I think go really well together. I think Italian sausage is always a good idea for soup because it's already flavored. So I'm just gonna break this up as it begins to brown.
When you were thinking about 300 different types of soups, like, I mean, you must have been eating soup for like 2 years.
I can't tell you how grateful my family was to see a fork on the table after 300 soups.
I can imagine.
I'm gonna add some onions in here as well.
And this recipe is 1 onion finely chopped.
We're gonna pop a lot of garlic in there.
2 tablespoons, right?
Yeah, and I think we're gonna put our zucchini in now too.
Yeah, go ahead. And you could substitute if it was like in the fall, maybe you wanna do like a butternut squash.
So that's absolutely true. So the other good forgiving thing about soup is you can kind of put whatever you want in there. So in this case, we're using zucchini. Add a little bit of salt, and we'll add a little bit of pepper.
Then we're gonna add chicken stock, and we've got 6 cups. And you use red potatoes. Is there a reason why you use red?
Red is a nice new potato that's gonna hold together really well, unlike a russet.
And we have some rosemary.
Let's put the rosemary in too. This gives so much good flavor.
I love rosemary so much.
Rosemary is a fine thing. So we're just gonna let that cook a little bit.
We are here with our potato, our zucchini, our sausage, our onion, rosemary soup. And it's time to finish this one off. And you've got a little trick to kind of thicken it up a little bit.
We do want it to be a little thicker, and we can do that by taking a potato masher and mashing a little bit of the potatoes. You don't have to have a potato masher. You could do this with the back of a spoon. It just would take longer.
And it's not really like mashing like mashed potatoes, more just like releasing and breaking down some of the potato
starch. Yep.
Okay, why chickpeas?
They add a nice texture, they add more protein, they make it heartier. In this case, this is sort of has an Italian feel to it, obviously, and so chickpeas are just the perfect addition. But if you like, you could use cannellini beans, you could use another kind of bean, whatever you like. Okay, and we're gonna add a little cream, not a lot. So this is a big pot of soup and it feeds several people. So we're adding like a half a cup of cream, just trying to give it a little creaminess. We're not trying to make it like super, super rich. So we kind of come to the end of this soup. I've got it off the heat, I believe.
It's time.
It's time to taste. And let me just say, when it comes to soup, this is maybe the most important step because sometimes you need to make adjustments right at the end. So make sure you taste.
I slurped. That's pretty delicious.
We're pretty right there. But if it wasn't, this is where you want to add a little salt, a little pepper if that's what you need. Also, I want to say this too, a few drops of acid, lemon juice, vinegar, whatever you have, just like a teaspoon. Don't add like 2 tablespoons. You're not supposed to taste it. It's supposed to make everything else taste better.
I love that you've made this suggestion because I always go right to salt.
I think that's added just a little tiny bit of something.
Yeah. Here, you do the croutons,
and
I'll do the cheese. I really love the idea of Parma here because it has kind of an Italian taste to it with the rosemary. Oh, I am so excited. So we've got the chickpea, we've got the potatoes, we've got zucchini, we've got sausage, we've got onion. Yum. With the acid that we put in there,
that little tiny bit.
Rice vinegar, yum. Good spring soup. And it's very heavy on the rosemary, which is one of my favorite herbs.
Totally.
And look at the breads I made for you, Meredith.
Lovely.
You could dunk your soda bread if you want to. I gave you just like a giant piece. You can slather on some butter if you want.
Well, I think you have to. I think it's like an obligatory situation.
Because really, bread is just a receptacle for butter. And look at the beautiful crumb that you get on that.
Soda bread is so great to make.
And it's great with soup. Up next, cheesy, saucy goodness in one mind-blowing bowl. We're making Meredith Deed's famous lasagna soup. That's next. Welcome back. We're in the kitchen with my friend and Star Tribune columnist, Meredith Deeds. And we are gonna make the lasagna soup from your book.
Yes.
I want to know how you thought of making lasagna into a soup, because you said it's a story that has to do with your son.
It is. I had my son, he was 9 at the time I wrote this book, and I think I was probably 6 months into 300 soups.
You must have been eating soup for every meal.
It was a lot. My son was like, I just can't. Like, I'm like, what do you want for dinner, honey? And he's like, I'd like lasagna. And I'm like, well, no, but how about lasagna soup?
This soup too has a like secret little ingredient situation that happens at the end.
At the end, you have to wait till the end.
And I'm gonna cut up some basil. We've got some tomato paste, some garlic, some oregano. All those things that you would see in a traditional lasagna are gonna go into our soup pot.
I've heated the pan really well before we're gonna add the olive oil. And that is true for any kind of cooking because that will prevent your food from sticking. So we've got our sausage, again, we're into the sausage
It's
today.
Sausage Fest today.
It is, nothing wrong with that. So we're just gonna break the sausage up. We're gonna add some onion in here. Cook that for a second. Add our garlic in there. And we're also gonna add our tomato paste, and this is something that is a good little tip. You wanna cook it for a few minutes until it's like kind of a rusty brownish color. And the reason is that the sugars in the tomato paste caramelize when you do that, and the flavor just gets amped up a whole other level. Let's get some salt and
Okay,
put some
we've got
pepper
our
in.
salt, we've got our pepper.
This is the right amount. Red pepper flakes. We've got some oregano.
I'm trying to be careful not to snuffle it up my nose,
Yeah,
but
don't
it
do
smells
that.
very good.
Add our bay leaves, tomatoes, and our stock, and we're gonna let that go for a bit.
Oh, it smells like real pizza.
Or lasagna.
Or lasagna. All right, so the lasagna soup needs noodles.
It wouldn't be lasagna without noodles.
No.
You know, you could use what you have or what you like, penne or whatever, but we're using fusilli here. So we're just gonna add about half of this package and let this cook in here for about 12 to 15 minutes until the pasta is al dente.
Now, I've been hyping this magic ingredient situation, but how do we finish the soup in a way that honors your son who really wanted to have lasagna, not soup?
Typically, lasagna has ricotta, so we're going to put a little ricotta in here. And ricotta on its own doesn't have a ton of flavor, so we're gonna add a little Parmesan to it. A little salt and pepper. If you wanted it a little spicy, you could certainly add red pepper flakes to this. We're gonna spoon into each bowl.
Wow.
Also, lasagna has mozzarella, which is the pulley part of the cheese.
The pulley part.
The pulley part. Let's add our basil into the soup.
Okay, Meredith, this is a big darn deal. I never thought to like pour soup over anything in the bottom of the bowl. That's amazing.
Well, the fun thing about it is if you don't tell your diners that it's there, it will
soup surprise!
Be a surprise. Oh, look.
Look at the
surprise.
surprise.
Wow. There's the surprise, folks.
It legit tastes like lasagna out of the pan.
Right? You can taste the herbs in there, the basil.
I love the ricotta with the sharpness of the Parmesan cheese.
This is gonna tick off all the boxes for your lasagna cravings.
Okay, let's go
try
in
the
for our-
bread.
The cornbread started with the box of Jiffy corn muffin mix, but I zhuzhed it up a little bit. Okay, yum, that's amazing. It's super moist.
I haven't bought a Jiffy mix in forever, but this might have me run into the grocery store to get one.
Yeah.
This is very delicious.
Yum. Okay, you have to come back to my kitchen and cook with me.
Please.
It's funny because
Anytime.
every single week I open up my Star Tribune and I look for your recipes. And so it's fun to actually like spend time cooking with you. I got this book on, I believe I got it at Half Price Books, but you can get it on Amazon.
It's on Amazon.
And if you're in the Twin Cities, Meredith does write for the Star Tribune.
I do.
Pretty much every week there's recipes. And if you're not in the Twin Cities, you can just find it on the Google machine.
The
it's
Google
amazing.
machine. Google me, Google the Star Tribune. You'll find me somewhere in there.
Tons of recipes. Good job, Meredith.
Good job. We're a team.
Coming up, from deep dish pizza to plantain tortillas, join me for a deep dive into plant-based foods to satisfy everyone at your table.
And welcome back to our special Stephanie Hansen Takeover Edition. of the Jason Show.
I'm gonna make you talk like Darth Vader.
Like that? Well,
Yes.
that proves you don't know Star Wars. That wasn't Darth Vader.
Who was it?
It's don't worry, it'll take a long time and I want to see your pieces.
Okay.
And that sounded weird too. But anyway, we're so glad that Stephanie's taking over the show today. It's another food extravaganza. But right now, Malcolm Yard.
Yeah, this whole episode is going to be an exploration into plant-based foods.
Okay.
Because so many people are trying to eat more plants.
Yeah.
Meatless Monday is really popular. And I'm a big meat eater, so I was like, hey, I need to explore what it would be like.
You are a carnivore.
I am a carnivore, and I just was like, you know what? Plants are good for you. I'm a gardener. I need to get into eating more plants. So we went to Malcolm Yards. We visited Rectangle, who won the Pizza of America on Good Morning America.
Yeah.
We also visited Ad Vellum. We are making some plant-based dishes in my house. I've got a plantain tortilla that is killer that I can't wait to show you guys how to do it.
Let's take a look.
Oh, hi, you're here. I'm here too. I am at Malcolm Yards because, you know, we're talking about plant-based and vegan eating, and the number one question I get is, where can I take Aunt Sally for dinner who's a vegan? Or my son Joey only eats gluten-free. Which restaurant can we take him to? You don't have to go to a specific plant-based eatery to get good plant-based or vegan or gluten-free options. And when you come to a food hall, there's all these different concepts together. So it's like a choose your own adventure. You can have a meat eater be super happy with a burger. You can have a vegan be happy with something that is vegan, or we've got plenty of options for gluten-free. So I'm gonna show you some options that are available today at Malcolm Yards, so come on. If you've never been to Malcolm Yards, they've got a great Joey Meatballs location. And you wouldn't think like pasta, gluten-free, what am I gonna eat there? Au contraire, my friends. If you look at the menu, there's a key at the bottom, and they've got vegetarian options, they've got gluten-free options, vegan options. They really do a great job here at calling out all the different types of items that they have on the menu for all different food tastes.
Wait a minute, are you explaining the V on the menu to people?
V for vegan, not for vagrant, not for variety, it's vegan.
This Stephanie segment brought to you by the letter V.
We're gonna talk to my friend Nick from Rectangle Pizza, and Rectangle Pizza is a Detroit-style square pizza.
It's a rectangle.
Oh, now I get it. Because of the name.
Yeah.
It's like a focaccia dough. It's a little bit thicker. It's a little cheesy on the edges. They put it in the square pan and it gets all bubbly and crisp and brown on the edges. And you lift that to your face and it's got this super great, delicious, traditional tomato sauce, the thick, chewy crust. It's an amazing pizza, but also, you guys, they can make every pizza gluten-free and they have some vegetarian options too. So we're gonna check in with Rectangle.
Vegan, gluten-free pizza. Isn't pizza just bread and cheese?
You know, I normally would say if you have dietary restrictions, gluten-free, pizza's normally not your first option. And it's hard to find a good pizza that does it well. We have wanted to provide these options and do them in a good way for vegan, vegetarian diners. A lot of people could care less about those types of diners. Our company's all about being inclusive and making something for everybody, not just a certain type of people. Technically, if I was serving this one, I wouldn't do the honey on it because it wouldn't be vegan.
Got it.
But if you aren't vegan, you're just more of a vegetarian, the Crybaby Craig's whipped honey drizzle is very good. Can you have honey?
Yeah.
So we normally would drizzle a little bit of that all over the pie as well.
Is it time for me to
I
go
think
in
go
here?
ahead.
I don't know.
Go ahead, I'll join you. How about?
Yes, do.
Cheers.
Okay, cheers. Pizza cheers. That crust is amazing. I love the fonieroni and the pickled jalapenos. It all comes together. It's a little hot, but not like too hot.
Yes,
Yum.
exactly. It's got that little bit of heat that perfectly balances some of that savoriness.
Also, the vegan cheese is pretty tasty.
It is.
It's salty. It tastes like mozzarella.
It's as close as you can get to being real cheese and having what people are looking for in a pizza, you know, vegan pizza cheese.
This exploration of plant-based, gluten-free, and vegan options has been fantastic at Malcolm Yards. I'm going in for another.
Do it.
So now we're at Abagnoli, and they have the best Korean fried chicken sandwich. And they've got a kimchi slaw that's vegetarian that I think is worth the drive to Malcolm Yards alone. It's crunchy, it's spicy, it's got all those warming Korean hits of flavor in your mouth all at the same time that make a kimchi slaw in your mouth. It's amazing.
So to be clear though, that chicken sandwich isn't vegan?
No, chicken sandwich not vegan. I think you're one of the most unexpected people at Malcolm Yards, and I just love your food.
We're very vegetable focused is what we call it. We like to make vegetables the star of the dish.
What you guys do with this salad is really elevated because you've got grilled vegetables in there, the grilled squash, the grilled carrots, you've got citrus, arugula. There's a little bit of sugar on the walnuts.
We'll put the walnuts in like slow motion, make it extra sexy. You like that idea?
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
We like to sneak in and surprise them and show them like vegetables can be so flavorful.
Absolutely.
And you can crave vegetables.
This is crave-worthy. This is our mushroom burger.
I think it's important to have something that even the meat eaters will enjoy as well.
It's great. We have this particular dish prepared with the Herbivorous Butcher Rib, which is a vegan product. It's one of my favorite things at Malcolm Yards.
We start with some crispy Korean mung bean pancakes, and then we do the maple glazed plant-based smoky rib on top of that.
So we're just going in with this mung bean pancake, sweet, spicy, crunchy, salty. I know this maybe isn't like in your comfort zone because for a lot of people, these are ingredients they haven't had before, but come here, try this. It's everything I said and more. Oh, it's so good. Every time I eat this, I think, how do they make this taste so good?
This is our fried chicken sandwich.
Is that fried chicken sandwich, is that vegan?
No.
I verified it with the chef. Fried chicken sandwich is not vegan.
Of course a fried chicken sandwich isn't vegan.
We don't have vegetarian fried chicken, no.
They're pretty consistent about the fried chicken not being vegan, vegetarian.
Definitely not vegan.
We're trying to open our minds, open our palates, and just be like, hey, there's something for everyone. You can ask me about the chicken. If I turn into a chicken, then we'll have our problem.
Next, see what Lake Winds Food Co-ops has in store for Meatless Monday or every day. Stay tuned.
All right, so I'm here with Renee from Lake Winds Co-op, and we are at the mothership in Richfield, but you guys have 3 locations. What you guys probably may or may not know about a co-op, and this is why it's such a great system, is they vet all the products that are in the co-op. So if you're looking for products that are good for you, healthy, that don't contain bad pesticides and all of that, you can be rest assured that everyone at Lake Winds has already vetted all those products for you, right, Renee?
Exactly, and our produce department is around 94% organic, as local as we can get it.
Sure.
Kind of tough right now, but during the growing season, we have so many local farmers represented on our aisles. And it's just a really fun place to explore and find new products and local products that you might grow to love.
Okay, and before we go shopping for our products, for our recipes, I wanted Renee to introduce me to a couple of new plant-based products, because this whole show is about exploring plant-based eating, and she's got some great ones. I'm really excited about this oat milk because it's from Minnesota, family-owned company. I actually have bought it before. This is the original Willa's. What do you like about it, Renee?
Well, I like that it's organic, and then the oats are made locally in this region. A lot of Minnesota and Wisconsin organic farmers make this oat. They use the entire plant as well, so there's very little waste. And it's a great alternative to other nut milks that might take more water. As we're more worried about the environmental impact, it's nice to know that these are local oats, organic, grown here, and you don't have some of those concerns with like California droughts.
And by the way, all that's in here is oats, salt, and sometimes there's a little bit of vanilla. There is some vanilla extract in here. That's it.
How do you milk an oat?
Ba-dum-bum.
You might be wondering, how do you milk an oat? This is something, did your grandma do this? Because my grandma did.
I don't know if she did, because they were dairy farmers,
Yeah.
but yeah.
You would put the oats in like mason jar with water to cover, and then you'd wait until the nutrients from the oats leached out, and then you would strain it, and then you would have oat milk. It's really kind of easy to make. Oat milk, drink some. It's good for your cholesterol. That's why I started drinking it. All right, another product that Renee wanted to share with me is these Hoyo sambusas.
Right, the lentil ones. They've got lovely spicy flavors with the lentils. They got some cumin and coriander, and they're locally made. So it's a Minnesota company. It's Somali owned, and Somali women actually make the sambusas by hand, following the traditions that they grew up with. So they're just delicious and really special easy to find in the freezer section.
Awesome for fourth meal for your kids to put like in the air fryer or the toaster oven. This again would be a really easy entry. Way to just add a little meatless Monday into your life. I'm gonna go ahead and put these in my bag, and then I am making some pretty exciting things. I'm gonna make plantain tortillas. I'm gonna make some black beans. I'm gonna make some sweet potato smashed crispy tacos with a pineapple salsa, and I've got to get all the ingredients, so I'm gonna head on over to produce. Thanks, Renee.
All right, thank you. See you later.
It's great to see you. Okay, plantains are usually near the bananas. If you've never cooked with them before, they look like a banana, a large banana as it were. This like in comparison to these other bananas over here. You can kind of see the difference. I'm gonna be using these to make tortillas. Believe it or not, it's gonna be like the starch that makes the tortilla that's gonna be the base for our taco. So I'm real excited about the plantains. All right, I've also got to get a pineapple. And do you know how to pick pineapple? Yeah, you're literally like supposed to pick it up and smell it, and then smell like the stem. And if it smells like pineapple, it's a ripe one to pick. So I'm making some salsa, so I'm gonna pick that. Let's go over to the chilies and see what we can find. I'm gonna pick one spicy, hot, little serrano pepper that's going to go in my dish because we want it to have a little bit of heat. When you're cooking plant-based things, you really like want to amp up the flavors with the plants because that's what you're doing. That's where you're getting all of your flavors from your delicious plants. So one serrano chili, and I think we're ready to go home and start cooking.
Coming up, crispy smashed sweet potatoes, smoky black beans, and plantain tortillas. We're making the most delicious veggie tacos from scratch.
So we just got back from Lake Winds. We're basically making veggie tacos. And when you're making a veggie taco, you want all different kinds of flavors infused. You want to have fruit, you want to have seasoning, you want to have spice. So we're using smoky black beans as one of the protein bases of our taco. We're gonna put a little olive oil in our Instant Pot. Now, if you don't have an Instant Pot, you could make this in a regular pot, but I like making beans in the Instant Pot because it goes so much faster. We're gonna put a cup of diced onions. We've got a couple of cloves of garlic, and our Instant Pot is on the saute setting. Now we're gonna use the chili in adobo sauce. This is just a jalapeno that's in a smoky sauce. And I like to just cut it right inside the jar because you just want to get that jalapeno cut up and you want to use this smoky, delicious paste. So, ooh, so smoky! I'm now going to add my black beans. We've got cumin, that's gonna give it a delicious Mexican flavor. We're also going with smoked paprika, right? Because we like the smoky. We've got some salt because beans need salt. 4 cups of water. That's gonna take our heat a little bit down. Diced tomatoes, and this is all we need to get our smoky black beans going. I'm gonna go ahead and put the lid on, and we're gonna turn it on for 40 minutes. In the meantime, I'm gonna show you how to make plantain tortillas, okay? And it is gonna change your life. I'm really excited about these plantain tortillas. My friend Stephanie Meyer, who's a Minneapolis food blogger and a chef, she was the one who turned me onto this idea that you could make tortillas with plantains, which are basically bananas, essentially, but they are a starchy fruit. We're just gonna get them cut like into little chunks, and then we're gonna put them in the Vitamix. We have 1/3 cup of avocado oil. We add a little bit of salt just because we want to flavor them. And then you're gonna add as much water as you need to get a thick paste. Usually you need about 3 tablespoons or less. And we're gonna start and go pretty low and slow. But I think we're getting pretty close. I'm gonna add just a tiny bit more water, like 1 more tablespoon. There it goes, all right. It's smooth like hummus. We're gonna take about a tablespoon at a time, and we're gonna just go ahead and put it on this mat. So you could use parchment paper too, or you could just grease a cookie sheet. I'm just using the back of a spoon, and I am making it literally into the shape of a tortilla like you would find in the grocery store. We're gonna pop these in the oven at 400, 10 to 12 minutes on our plantain tortillas. Okay, look at these tortillas. You've got some kind of brown edges there. They've puffed up just a little bit. Delicious. Black bean check. Look at that. That smoky paprika is really giving me all the meaty, delicious feels. I'm gonna mash these a little bit. You can see here now we've got sort of a little bit thicker, chunkier paste. Now we have a lot of components to this dish because we want it to taste super delicious. We are using a sweet potato and we are gonna make like a crispy, smashed sweet potato that's going to go inside our tortilla, because when you're plant-based, you're looking a lot for like taste and also texture. We're gonna boil them up for about 5 minutes until they're pretty tender. I put a paring knife in our sweet potato and it goes through pretty gently. So I'm gonna go ahead and drain them first. And I'm just gonna put a little cooking spray down on these same sheets that I already used. I'm gonna put a little salt, a little smoked paprika, and then a little red pepper flake because I like a little spicy hot. Brush with a little bit of olive oil. You just kind of coax them down. And I already think they're just a little too big. So I'm gonna cut them in half, and you wanna keep them together because you want that circular shape. Here we go, mashy mash. One more pass with the olive oil. We are gonna put these in the oven for about 30 minutes at 450. Okay, through the magic of television, we've got our crispy roasted sweet potatoes. A moment of full disclosure here, there were some that I burned. So those are over in the we're not looking over here pile. That's the magic of television. But we have enough to make delicious crispy tacos. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. We are making pineapple pico de gallo. So you're gonna just go ahead with a sharp knife and cut the top off. And I like to cut the bottom off too because I want a flat surface to work with. Then I'm just going to go ahead and cut around, getting all of the eyes of the pineapple off, cut it in half, right through the core. And then I'm just going to cut wedges. Now it's pretty easy to just cut them into chunks for my pico de gallo. I'm gonna use about a 1/4 cup of red onion. Also, how about some jalapeno? You can make it as spicy or as not spicy as you like. I'm gonna add some diced green onions, and I use the white and the green parts. Garlic, I just want a hint of that. I'm gonna add a little bit of salt, lime juice, and then I'm gonna just finish it with chopped cilantro. Now, you may have heard some people like cilantro, some people don't. I think it tastes like the magic of spring. But if you can't eat it in your family, you can use parsley, you could use mint, any kind of fresh green. We've got our pico. All right, I'm not gonna lie. We made a lot of different things for our plant-based taco dinner or lunch. We also made a red cabbage and carrot slaw with tahini dressing and a cilantro chutney. Both have a lot of citrus and flavor, and you can find those recipes on my website at stephaniesdish.com. So we've got our plantain tortilla that we made. It's a little thicker than a normal tortilla, but very pliable, right? I'm going to have the crispy sweet potato with my red cabbage and carrot and cilantro slaw with the tahini dressing, cilantro chutney. And I mean, how pretty does that look? See, look at that cute little taco. Mmm, crunchy, sweet potato-y. The cilantro chutney gives it a brightness, a little bit of hint of garlic and lime. This is amazing. Your meat friends would be like, oh, this is so good. Your plant-based friends will be happy. Let's do the next taco, shall we? We've got our smoky black beans that are literally still smoking. Our pico de gallo that we made with pineapple. I love this with the black beans because it's kind of cooling because the beans are going to be a tiny bit spicy. And then I'm gonna go in again for the cilantro chutney just because I think it's so amazing and I love it so much. Okay. Mmm. Creamy, dreamy, spicy black beans. And then that pineapple really gives it a nice acidic hit. It's amazing. Doesn't always look pretty, isn't always seamless, but at the end of the day, it's amazing. Thanks for watching, and thanks for going on this plant-based journey with me, whether you're Meatless Monday or you just want to incorporate more plants into your life. I think you'll feel good about it, and it's very tasty. See you next time, and remember, always eat the cake.